my name is Parker, and I'm our Solutions Engineering Manager here at MediaValet, which is just a fancy way of saying I help you with all things technical. And in my role, I know our platform really well through and through because I am dealing with technical things. So I've come to know all the features that we've added into HDX. I've gotten really excited, and I want to share that all with you today. So welcome. This is our HDX webinar. It is the second of a series of 3 right now. We've got another one coming in March. And this webinar is all about our hot DAM experience, or HDX for short. And if you're thinking, what is HDX? I haven't heard this term before. I'll clarify it for you now. HDX is MediaValet. This is the MediaValet experience, but HDX is the term that we've given for our updated interface. So that's what I'm going to tell you all about today, and I'm going to show you some of those key features. Now, HDX is something that we've created so that you can better discover, manage, and collaborate on your digital assets. So in this webinar, I'm going to talk a little bit more about what HDX is, but I'm going to spend most of my time actually giving you a demo of the features in my own MediaValet library. A couple of housekeeping notes before I move on here. If you do have questions, please do ask them in the chat. I won't be answering them live myself just for the sake of time, just because we've got 30 minutes here. But we will either try to answer your questions in the chat, or if we don't get the opportunity to answer them during the webinar, we will make sure to follow up with all questions answered. So please do ask your questions. And then also, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but this session will be recorded and shared after the webinar. So if you're joining partway through and you want to look back or you want to share it with anybody else, you will get a recording. Okay, let's move along here. So why HDX? Well, as you probably know better than I, managing your digital assets can be overwhelming pretty fast, especially when we're talking about growing digital asset libraries, collaborations among different teams and stakeholders, all with their own different needs, or even just trying to discover your assets, trying to search for that file that you need and not being able to find it. These can create problems that make it really hard for power users of the DAM. And so at MediaValet, we really wanted to design our next experience to address these problems directly. And this is what we're doing with HDX, the hot DAM experience. We've designed it so that you can work faster, easier, and more intuitive than before. We want to make sure that you can find what you're looking for, do what you need to do, and spend less time on it. So when we came up with HDX, we didn't just want to make it look visually appealing. That is important. We want it to be something that has nice aesthetics, but it's kind of like building a home or remodeling a home. You do want it to look nice and be decorative, but the most important thing is the functional approach. You're going to be living in it every day, so it's got to be functional. So we've made sure that to make something that is visually appealing, but more importantly, very functional for you. And the last thing I want to share is that we've really built HDX out of feedback, out of what customers, prospective customers have been telling us that they need in DAM. We have listened to that feedback and put those features directly into HDX. Okay, moving along here. So now I'm going to get into my demo. I will show you my library here in a second, and I'm going to highlight some of these key features in HDX that talk to these value points that we've just talked about, being able to do things more intuitively and faster in the DAM, and essentially simplify your day-to-day. So I'll be focusing on navigating through your assets with ease, discovering your assets through advanced search and even some AI-powered search features, and then also different ways that you can collaborate with or share your assets that we've made in HDX. So follow along, and I hope that as you see these features, you're thinking about your own workflows in DAM and how you could use these to your advantage. Okay, let's jump in together. Okay, so now I've got up on my screen my own MediaValet library, and I'm going to use this for my demo here today. So before I jump into managing your assets, for those of you that might not be as familiar with MediaValet or need a refresher, this is MediaValet. This is the DAM, and you can see here, I can see previews of my assets. On the left, I have my category structure, or like my folders that my assets are organized into. And then even farther to the left here, I have my navigation menu where I can take advantage of various features in MediaValet. So in HDX, we have made sure to give you the ability to focus on exactly what you need to do. So if I make my way to a category of assets that I want to work in, I can right away collapse the categories here on the left because I don't need that anymore. I can even collapse the left menu so that I can really focus on the assets in front of me. And when it comes to managing my assets, I can look at them in various different ways. This is a grid view. We also have a list view where you can see assets listed and key metadata points. We've got a nice handy zoom feature, so you can zoom in and out on your assets to see them larger or smaller, those previews. You can also choose how many you want to show up on a page together. There's a lot of ways that you can customize this so that you can see the exact information that you need to see. So when it comes to actually navigating and previewing your assets, this is one of my favorite parts of HDX, is we've created another way to preview them. So if I click on an asset here, you'll see that my preview for that asset shows up here on the right. And this will show me key information about the asset without taking me away from whatever category or search results I'm looking at. So here's a preview of my asset. Here's key information about it coming from the file, some metadata. I can even go into my metadata tab here, see that general metadata. I can even collapse that and then look specifically at my custom attributes. So what used to take quite a few clicks to get into, I can now do almost instantly. Click on an asset, click on metadata, collapse the general, and I could get to my custom metadata just like that. So the point I want to make here is that you can navigate between your assets much quicker. And not just through clicking, but I can actually use my keyboard as well. So if I'm using my arrow keys, I can go through and hit enter and then start to see the preview of these assets here. And so I can get through even faster to what I'm looking for. Now, this may seem like a small feature, it's great and it happens quickly, but imagine instead of having to click into an asset, click into the attributes to then see my custom attributes, if I can do it like this, maybe I save 5 seconds. But if I'm doing this multiple times every day, in the case of a year, I've saved hours. So I just want you to keep that in mind when we look at some of these features that save you even seconds, 5, 10, 30 seconds. That adds up very quickly to a lot of time saved in the DAM. Okay, for navigating your assets, I just want to show you here as well what you can do as a bulk action. So I'm just going to make my previews a little bit smaller here. So you are probably familiar with being able to select more than one asset and then perform a bulk action. But what you can actually do in HDX, 2 key things that we've improved upon here that I love. So if I want to select multiple at a time, I could select one here and then go down, hold down the shift key and select multiples. And this is going to select everything in between these 2 assets. So I can bulk select multiple things on a page, but not necessarily select the whole page. I can, of course, select the whole page if I want, but I've got a lot more controls with how I bulk select my assets. So that's one thing. The second thing is that I can do multi-page select. So you can see I've selected this page and it's showing me in the bottom left here, I've got 50 assets selected. Well, if I go to the next page, I can select this page as well. And now I've got 100 selected. So when you want to perform bulk actions, like down here, sharing assets, downloading assets, maybe adding some metadata, or even adding to a collection, I can multi-page select my assets. So I don't have to do that for one page, then do that for the next page, and so on. So this is a typical task that, you could be spending 30 seconds each time that you're doing it, and then you can eliminate a lot of time by being able to multi-page select. Okay, so we've covered some features in HDX for managing your assets, looking at some of these shortcuts that we've built in, some of this intuitive ways to save time, but I want to move on to actually searching through your assets now. So let's start with just a simple search. You'll see up here at the top, we've got our search bar. It's clean, it's nice and isolated, not mixed amongst your attributes or so on and so forth. And so I'm going to start with a simple search. I'm going to search for friends. And so I perform this search, and it's going to search my entire library for the term friends, and it's searching through my metadata, keywords, attributes, file names, so on, and it's returning anything when it finds friends. So here's a whole bunch of assets here, and I have a lot of stock photography actually in my library. So these stock photography usually comes with built-in keywords. So that's what we're mostly hitting here when we look at these. And that's great and all, but then what if I want to get a little bit more specific here? So I want to apply some advanced filters. You'll see that once I hit search there, now on my far left menu, it's actually taken me into advanced search. So I just performed a search at any point when I'm in the DAM, and then now I'm in advanced search, meaning I can apply even more to my search. So something that is really helpful is being able to create your own custom attributes for whatever your specific needs are in the DAM. Maybe you have usage rights associated with your assets. So being able to filter by your custom attributes really helps you control surfacing the assets that you need. So here I've got this filter for custom attributes, and I have usage rights as an example here. So let's say I want to filter this search of assets with the term friends by public use. So there we go. I've cleared through all the noise of all those results and gotten right to what I wanted. I've got this asset here, which hits that search term, and it has that custom attribute applied. So if I were to preview this here, I could even just quickly double check, okay, does it actually have that attribute? I'll go to my metadata, go to custom. There it is right there. The usage rights field has public use. So that's looking at performing a search, applying some advanced filters to it. There's many different types of filters that you can apply, including the category that you're in, file type, and so on. And let's say instead, maybe I don't quite know what I'm looking for, but I want to search, or I want to start with filters and advanced search terms. So I'm just going to click the X there to remove my actual search term. I'm going to clear my filters here. So I'm just looking at my entire library here. I'm still in this advanced search section, but I can actually start with my filters first. So let's say this time I want to apply that same custom attribute usage rights, but this time I want internal use only. So I've applied that here, and now I've got 5 assets that it's returned. So there's 3 images, and then there's actually 2 documents. But maybe I want to filter this even further because I actually don't want documents. I just want my images. So I could filter by file type, but I've actually organized in the DAM my assets based on type as well. So I've got this media category here. So I'm going to filter by the media category and any of its subcategories. And so there, now our search has returned just the images. And when I am applying an advanced search, if I want to know exactly what is being applied to the search, you'll see here in blue, it's going to tell me any filters applied, any search terms. It's going to be really clear. And one by one, I can add and remove whatever I'm working on here if I want to tweak this search as I go. So this is relatively simple for the sake of demonstration today, but imagine with me that you have made a really, really advanced search. So you've spent 15, 20 minutes tweaking the different advanced searches, tweaking the search term, and then you finally return results and you're like, this is great. This is exactly what I need. But I really wish that I didn't have to do this again next time. It's great that I got this, but it took me 20 minutes. And if I have to get this again, good luck. I don't have 20 minutes in the future. Well, that's not going to be a problem because in HDX, we have another feature called saved searches. And so once you've performed that search, again, using your imagination, imagine that this is a very complicated advanced search. You can then save that search so you can access it later instantly. So up here at the top right, I've got the Save Search button. So I'm going to save this search. I'll just call it internal use media. I'll go ahead and save that search. And then just like that, here on the left, when I'm in this advanced search panel, I've got my saved searches. There's internal use media. So if I'm going back into my library, doing something else, and then later, oh, I got to get those results again, all I have to do is click advanced search, internal use media, and I've got them instantly in 2 clicks. Again, this is just calling out another one of those ways that you can save your time, do your work more intuitively. We like to use a term here when we're thinking about the features that we put in, working at the speed of consciousness. So we want you to be able to perform the tasks that you need to perform in the dam at the speed of your consciousness. When you think of what you want to do, you should be able to do it. There should not be an admin delay or struggling to find your assets or that sort of thing. So this is how you can work at the speed of consciousness. Now you'll see here, it says above this search created by me, and there's 3 little dots here to the right. So I can actually share my saved search with other users, or they can share them with me. So if someone has shared it with me, that would be clear as well. But this is really, really powerful to call out. You can save your search with groups of users or other individual users. So imagine you have end users in the dam, you want to limit the amount of work that they have to do to set themselves up. You could create some saved searches for these user groups, share it with them, and then they can be able to find whatever they need to find for their use case very quickly. Also, I want to call out here that saved searches can be dynamic. So here's another saved search I have here, expired assets in the last 30 days. So this is applying a filter that is temporal. So you can look at something that's expired in a certain period of time, for instance. And so this surfaces for me recently expired assets. And this is dynamic. So over time, this will change based on that expiration date. Okay. We've covered some searching, advanced searching features. Now I want to cover a couple of AI-powered search features here quickly. These are very, very exciting, and this will help you discover your assets without you having to do metadata work at all. So I want to show you our people dashboard to start. What this is a feature that is going to identify faces, identify people within your images, and categorize them automatically. So in the people dashboard here, you'll see I've got 3 people with names. These are showing up as identified people. So I've named these people. The system has recognized them automatically, but I've named them. There's myself, Jane Smith, and John Smith. And if I were to click on somebody here, it's going to show me all of those images that they appear in. And you can see here we get quite a variety, some where maybe that individual is a little more in the background, maybe it's a bit more of a profile. It's very, very robust and powerful at identifying those faces. You'll see here in the people dashboard, I also have this unidentified tab. So I have over 400 people that it's actually identified from my photos. And at any point, if I wanted to name these people, I could hit the little pencil, add that name, and then they become identified over here. And when they're identified, they become a filter that you can apply in that advanced search. So I want to show you our next feature. And this one is closest to my heart. Personally, I love this feature. I've showed this a lot to customers, prospective customers, and I'm wowed by it every day, the different results I can get. This is called Smart Image Search. So this is an AI-powered search feature, and it's actually transcending your metadata altogether. So what we've looked at so far when we perform searches are metadata-based searches. Anytime I put in a search term or I'm filtering, I am doing that based on the explicit metadata that is attached to my assets. Even with the people dashboard and that facial recognition feature, that is creating metadata for me to use. So the AI is doing that work for me, but it is still producing metadata. Whereas with Smart Image Search, it actually doesn't need metadata at all. When you perform a smart image search, the AI understands the intention behind your search. It understands what's actually in your images, even the concepts, and then it pairs the results that way without any metadata. So that's enough talking about it. Let me actually show you it in action here. So I've prepared a couple of search queries on my own site that I'm going to show you with that. To perform a smart image search, I click this icon here at the top right, and this toggles on smart image search. So I want to search for college students. And you'll see that I'm getting a variety of images returned that fit a context of college students. So these images can be quite different. We've got some where it's students on the concourse, some where it is, oh, let me get back there, somewhere it is students that are in a graduation context, maybe they're sitting together. A lot of different types of images, but they all fit the context of college students because the AI has understood that as that container, that context. So if you're searching for something but you don't quite know what you're looking for, that's a great one to use because you can get a variety while fitting a context. Now I'm going to put in another search here. So as with any kind of AI that uses natural language, the more specific that you get with your search terminology, the more specific results you're going to get as well. So I've got this search here, college student studying for an important test. Now, this goes beyond just context, and this actually describes a concept, right? When you have other AI tagging features, which we do as well, those are more explicit. You know, that might identify a person in a photo, a table, a computer, and it'll give you those kinds of tags, but it doesn't put it all together and understand the concept behind it, like this feature does. So you can see I'm getting results that are now more specific and fitting this idea of a college student. You know, we're seeing individuals in front of computers, maybe books, people together, people on the grass like they would be outside of a college campus studying for an important test. So this is really, really key that you can get something very specific. And I want to highlight if you don't have the metadata to support this, if you perform a metadata search, not using Smart Image Search, you're not going to get results. So in my library, I have some metadata from these stock images, but I haven't done a lot of work myself to tag it or add extra. So if I hit this button here to the right and turn off Smart Image Search, you'll see that this search term for metadata search gives me no results at all because it's very specific. I would have to do a lot of work to get those kinds of results from a metadata search. Whereas with Smart Image Search, I get them right away and I haven't had to do any work. Okay, I'm going to point out a couple more smart image searches and then we're going to get to sharing features before we end here. So let's take that other that term that we just searched and let's change it to freshman. Really key here, metadata searches can really fall apart with synonyms. So let's say someone's searching for something but with a slightly different word. If you haven't tagged those synonym words in your metadata, they're not going to get any results. But with Smart Image Search, synonyms are covered. It's going to understand the terminology, all the similar terminology. And so by me performing this search here, freshman studying for an important test, I'm getting very, very similar, a lot of the same images here right away. No problem. Now, synonyms are one thing, but why don't we transcend that and search in another language entirely? With Smart Image Search, there's over 60 languages supported directly in Smart Image Search. And so if I were to search this in Spanish, I've had to translate this. I don't know Spanish myself, but this is that same college student studying for an important test in Spanish. You can see I'm getting virtually the exact same results. So this is instantly ready. If you have multiple people searching in different languages, they can all search in those different languages without you having to do any metadata work. Okay, one last Smart Image Search here. I'm going to search male professional with colleagues. And so this is taking that idea of a context or maybe a concept here. Here's a bunch of, these do look like colleagues collaborating. There's usually the male professional that's sort of at the center of these types of images. But what I want to point out here is that if you're using Smart Image Search, you don't have to throw your metadata away. So let's say you're in a scenario where you've worked really hard to get your metadata, to get it good and to use those filters. Well, once I perform that Smart Image Search, I can then filter my metadata from that search. So people in images is taking those people in our people dashboard and filtering that as an example. So let's look at filtering this by John Smith. Now we've produced all of those images specifically with John Smith in them, just like that. And if I wanted to bolster my metadata from here, I could go ahead, select the page, and then add metadata, categories, attributes, and so on. Okay, that's enough time on Smart Image Search. Let me show you two two features for sharing, and then we'll end it off here. So the first thing I want to show you is collections here on the left. This is a key feature for collaboration. You might be wondering, okay, well, is a collection different than a saved search? Because here I have different collections with assets in them. A saved search is dynamic, so it's always changing because it's producing that search, whereas a collection you have full control over. So this is great for something like a project. Maybe you're collaborating on a marketing campaign. So here's an adventure tourism campaign. Me and some colleagues have picked some shortlisted images for our campaign. Maybe you're working on a social media video, so you want to get your raw clips together and so on. When you create a collection, you can create it and share it with other individuals as well, and you can give them the ability to view only or to also add images to it. And then others can share them with you too. So you'll see I created these top two, and then down here, here's one that was shared with me by another user. And if someone else shares it with you, because collections are more project-based or temporary, you do have the ability to remove yourself from it whenever you want without removing the collection for them. Okay, I want to show you quickly here a branded portal as well. This is another sharing option, and these are really handy if you are sharing assets out to external users, so they don't need to log into the DAM, and you want to show it to them in a professional way. This could be delivering final assets to your clients. This could be sales deck resources for your sales team, or I'll show you an example right here. This is an example. If I worked for a university in a marketing department, I have vetted photos from a particular event that can be shared out by other team members. I've put them in this portal so that you can view them and download them as needed. So here's different sections. This has got its own landing page. You can put your own branding on it. And then you can have different sections where you describe what they are. So here is campus life photos from the event, study sessions, or maybe just campus landmarks, organized all very neatly and visually so that any of my colleagues want to share images out, they know where to go to download those images. All right. That is today's tour of HDX. Of course, there are so many other features that we could talk about or get into in more detail, but I wanted to highlight some of those key features and really hammer home how you can save time and do your work more intuitively at the speed of consciousness. So thank you so much for joining me today. I want to just call out a couple things. This webinar is recorded just as a reminder, so you will get a recording. If you joined us partway through, you can go back or share it with others. Any unanswered questions that you might have asked in chat, we will make sure to answer those and follow up. And also, this is part of our HDX webinar series. There is a third one coming up on March 11th with my colleague, Evan, another solutions engineer. And we are adding a lot more features to HDX. So every quarter, we're adding features, and we've got a lot planned on this year's roadmap. So there will be more exciting announcements to come as we continue to improve on HDX. Thank you so much for joining me today.